A young boy walks into a high-end office lobby, clutching his school bag tightly. He smiles politely at the receptionist, but she barely glances up before giving him a dismissive look. "You're in the wrong place, kid," she says with a sneer, her tone sharp and cold. The boy's smile falters, but he stands his ground, quietly explaining that he's here to see someone important. The receptionist scoffs, assuming he must be lost or making things up. Her words grow harsher, belittling him in front of others waiting in the lobby. Unfazed, the boy calmly states a name, and suddenly, the atmosphere shifts. The receptionist freezes, her face paling as she realizes who the boy might be. Whispers spread among the onlookers, their eyes widening. Who is this boy? And more importantly, who is the powerful figure he's here to meet? What happens next will leave everyone speechless. The receptionist stammers, trying to maintain her composure. "I don't think you belong here," she says, her voice now tinged with uncertainty. The boy stays calm, his expression unchanging. "I was told to wait here," he replies, his tone polite but firm. A few people in the lobby are now watching closely, their curiosity growing. Who could this child possibly be to cause such a reaction? As the receptionist fumbles, she decides to test him. "Do you even know who you're asking for?" she says, crossing her arms. The boy nods and confidently repeats the name, his voice carrying a quiet strength. The receptionist's unease deepens. She knows that name. It belongs to someone with immense influence and power in the city, someone she wouldn't dare cross. While she debates her next move, an elevator dings in the background. A man steps out, his commanding presence instantly capturing everyone's attention. The man who steps out of the elevator commands immediate attention. His tailored suit and confident stride suggest someone used to making decisions that matter. The receptionist's expression shifts to panic as she realizes who he is. She quickly tries to regain control of the situation, plastering a forced smile on her face. "Good afternoon, sir," she says, her voice overly sweet, but he doesn't even glance her way. Instead, his eyes lock onto the boy, and his serious expression softens into a warm smile. "There you are," he says, his deep voice carrying across the room. He walks over and kneels slightly to meet the boy at eye level. "Did anyone give you a hard time?" he asks gently. The boy shakes his head, but glances briefly at the receptionist, who looks like she wants to disappear. The man straightens and turns his attention to the receptionist. "Is there a problem here?" he asks, his voice calm but sharp. Her words stumble out incoherently as she struggles to explain herself. Meanwhile, whispers ripple through the lobby as the onlookers realize the boy isn't just anyone. He's connected to someone with influence far beyond what they had assumed. The boy looks up at the man, a quiet bond of trust evident between them. The tension in the air is thick, leaving everyone guessing what will happen next. The receptionist's face grows pale as the man's gaze locks on her. Unyielding and sharp, she stammers, trying to explain. "I didn't know. I thought he might have been lost." Her words trail off, and her confidence crumbles. The boy stays silent, his eyes calm yet observant, as if he knows something everyone else is just starting to realize. The man doesn't react immediately, letting the silence weigh heavily in the room. "You thought," he finally says, his voice measured but carrying a weight that makes the receptionist flinch. "This boy is my son," he continues, his tone firm. Gasps ripple through the room as the truth is revealed. The whispers intensify, and the receptionist looks like she wants to sink into the floor. The man doesn't stop there. "Tell me," he says, his voice low but razor-sharp, "did you judge him before you even asked who he was? Or is it because of how he looks?" His words hang in the air, cutting through the tension like a blade. The receptionist opens her mouth to respond, but can't find the words. The boy tugs gently at his father's sleeve, silently asking for his attention. "It's okay, Dad," he says softly, his calm demeanor striking a contrast to the tension around them. But the man isn't finished. He looks around the lobby, his piercing gaze taking in everyone who had witnessed the exchange. This isn't just about my son, he says, his voice rising slightly. It's about how people like you treat others when you think no one is watching. The lobby falls silent, the weight of his words sinking in. All eyes are on the man and his son as the room braces for what will happen next. As the heavy silence fills the room, a voice suddenly breaks through. "Excuse me, sir," says a sharply dressed man stepping out from an adjacent office. He's the company's CEO, and his presence immediately commands respect. He walks toward the scene, his expression unreadable, but his eyes flick between the receptionist and the boy. "What's going on here?" he asks, his tone calm but carrying authority. The father doesn't hesitate. "Your receptionist thought my son didn't belong here," he says plainly, his words cutting through the room. The CEO's eyes narrow slightly as he processes what's being said. The receptionist's face turns bright red, and she quickly jumps in. "I didn't mean any harm," she pleads. I didn't know who he was." Before the CEO can respond, the boy speaks up, his voice steady and clear. "It's not about knowing who I am," he says, his gaze fixed on the receptionist. "It's about how you treat people, no matter who they are." His words catch everyone off guard, especially coming from someone so young. Murmurs ripple through the lobby, and the tension builds as the CEO nods thoughtfully. Then the unexpected happens. The father pulls out his phone and shows the CEO an email. The CEO's eyes widen as he reads, and a flash of recognition crosses his face. "Wait," he says, looking at the boy, "you're the guest speaker for today's meeting." The boy nods calmly, leaving everyone stunned. Whispers grow louder as people realize this wasn't just any child. He's been invited for a special reason. The CEO turns to the receptionist, his expression darkening. "Do you have any idea what you've done?" he asks sharply. The receptionist looks as if she's about to faint, and the stakes have just risen higher than anyone anticipated. The room is completely still as everyone waits to see what happens next. The CEO exhales sharply, turning to the boy's father. "I had no idea this happened," he says, his tone apologetic. But before he can say more, the boy steps forward, standing tall despite his small frame. "It's okay," he says, his voice calm yet firm. "I didn't come here to cause trouble. I came to share my story." The CEO looks at him, admiration flickering in his eyes. "And you will," he says, nodding. Then, addressing the room, he adds, "This young man was invited here today to talk about overcoming challenges and standing up against prejudice. Clearly, this moment speaks to exactly why his voice is so important." The receptionist's face crumbles as the weight of her actions sinks in. "I'm so sorry," she blurts out, her voice trembling. She looks at the boy, genuinely remorseful. "I made a terrible mistake." The boy studies her for a moment, then smiles softly. "Apologies matter," he says, "but change matters more. I hope you'll think about how you treat people next time." His words strike a chord, and a murmur of agreement ripples through the lobby. As the boy and his father are escorted into the conference room, the CEO stops and addresses the receptionist directly. "This will be reviewed," he says sternly. "But for now, I suggest you take some time to reflect." Inside the conference room, the boy takes his place at the front, his presence commanding despite his young age. As he begins to speak, sharing his story of resilience and kindness in the face of adversity, the audience listens intently, moved by his words. The final twist comes when the boy reveals that his father wasn't always the successful figure everyone sees today. "He came from nothing," the boy says proudly. "And he taught me that no one's worth is defined by their appearance or their beginnings." The room erupts in applause, and the receptionist, watching from afar, seems to finally understand the lesson she was meant to learn. As the boy finishes his speech, the room erupts in a standing ovation. His message of resilience, kindness, and the importance of seeing beyond appearances resonates deeply with everyone present. Even those who had been silent observers in the lobby feel inspired by his words. The CEO walks up to him, shaking his hand and thanking him for his powerful message. The father stands nearby, his pride evident as he watches his son make such a profound impact. Outside the conference room, the receptionist quietly gathers her belongings, reflecting on what had happened. The boy's parting words, about change being more important than apologies, echo in her mind. She knows she has work to do, not just in her job, but in how she sees and treats others. As the boy and his father leave the building, people stop to acknowledge them with smiles and nods of respect. The boy's message lingers, leaving everyone with a powerful reminder. True worth isn't measured by status or appearances, but by the kindness and respect we show to one another.